So I am Tameka Daniel Greer, the Executive Director of Memphis Artists for Change. I am from Memphis, more specifically South Memphis. 3rd and South Parkway. If you know where that bridge is, there's a neighborhood under that viaduct. That's where I'm from. We call it the Hole. So my name is Tameka Daniel Greer. People often call me Tammy, and I'm from the Hole, and I'm the Executive Director of Memphis Artists for Change. So my first inception of the art house was, of this building rather. I was a little girl, so less than 10 or about 10, maybe about 10. And my uncle bought this building. So this building and the shop next door, my uncle owned. And he had a VIP tape shop, which VIP is still the name of the shop next door. And this space, and he called this space the Butler's Pit Barbecue. So my aunts, my family have traversed through this building, have worked in this space since I first learned of the space. So what came of it as I got older, my uncle had used the space for several different things, or the space had been utilized for several different things. It had been a couple of restaurants that he rented out to other people. His son, Montana Tracks, as he's known to the world. Actually, the last iteration of this space, he turned it into a studio. So it was actually Montana Tracks Records. It was his studio space. And after my cousin passed, I told my uncle, I was like, I really want to do something with the space. I really want to do something with the space. And so he was like, go ahead, get it, and got the space, sat with it for a long time, really didn't know what we wanted to do with it. Then I was like, hey, Soulsville, like really thinking about the history of the People's Market Massacre and how, this area is historically so important, I think, to African American history in our city. How do I activate it as an artist for an art space? So Memphis Artists for Change acquired it, and we decided to turn it into a gallery, right? It was gonna be a small art gallery. That was pre-pandemic though, right? So then the pandemic hit, right? It was like, how do we still utilize the space? So it was like, how can I use it as a way to support artists? So we most definitely are gonna reactivate the kitchen. Blessed to have a brother who is a grill connoisseur, so we're gonna reactivate the smokehouse. We will be having a variety of foods served here, but also turn it into a place that the community can reclaim, right? So how do we make this the people's pavilion, the people's place, the space that the people want to come to, want to commune at, want to not just eat, but also fellowship at, and look forward to the energy that Soulsville has so much of already, right? So the art house was born. With that, we knew we wanted to not just showcase local artists' work, so you can see work from various artists on the walls always. We'll also have various art showings here, but we wanted to provide a space that we could actually activate for other artists who weren't necessarily visual artists, so performance artists, singers. Out of that, we started thinking, how can we use this space musically? Well, it's really small, right? It's a really small space, so it'll be really difficult to hold a show, a concert in this space. Even the most intimate concert would probably only get like 8 people in here without them just stacking up on each other. So we thought about, I was actually looking at the name for the back room came because I was actually looking at the ADT camera, and the camera is just the security camera, and the room is actually labeled the back room, right? And it was after we started decorating, I was like, man, it'd be cool to have like a live music podcast where we showcase Memphis artists, for the world to see. Like, there is a plethora of talent here, and artists who do original music, and artists, poets of all caliber who need, I think, a platform for the world to see. So we have plenty of open mic spots. We got plenty of venues that are booking artists, but a lot of Memphis artists leave this city and to expose themselves. So we were trying to think of a way that we could utilize this space to expose Memphis to the world. And out of that came the back room. So it's a platform where local artists come, do a small set, give us a few little words about their music, but more than anything, we just shine a light on the brilliance that is Black artists in Memphis. So right now we're actually working on the smokehouse and the patio area in the back. So we actually, is one of the things that came out of COVID was, how do we expand the space we have access to? So it's like, how do we activate the outdoor space? I, want to see artists and creators hanging out in South Memphis again. You know what I'm saying? I want to see a Renaissance style feel in this area. So we were trying to get really creative about how do we do it. Well, surely people love patios. So first we activate the patio, and then we can also activate the parking lot. So we can start doing things like artist bazaars and have festivals and pop-up shops all in this area, and start bringing the activity back to the hood, as opposed to us always having to go outside of our community for all things arts, all things interesting, all things crafts. Why aren't people able to come to South Memphis and get their fill of waste beads, shea butter, you know what I'm saying? Their crystals, their artwork. One of my next initiatives is trying to get a group of artists together, visual artists together, who typically sell their artwork for upwards of hundreds of dollars, and see what type of collaborative we can create to make prints of those work of specifics of certain pieces that they may have. Make prints of those and make those available at like low cost, like as opposed to where the print might typically be $90. So we can have $25 prints, and not of all of their works, but of some select pieces, so that we can then also start immersing our communities in art. I remember being young and growing up in the hood and not really seeing art, and then being turned on in high school at Overton to all of these forms, all these different expressions of art, and then growing up and finding artists in my city. And I'm like, why didn't I see these people growing up? And they were from neighborhoods like mine. They were from South Memphis, they were from Castaic, from Whitehaven, from North Memphis, and it's like, but why didn't I see them? Well, there is no artistic home. So one of the goals for Memphis Artists for Change is to create a space, a haven, where artists feel that they're at home. So not just for the support, but a place that they know that they can come to and be around other creators, where they can collaborate, where they can even create alone if they choose to. But it's a place that they know is always there, and that was built with intention for artists in this city, specifically Black artists. Poetry, Poetry. Why? Poetry gave its life so that I may live. So speaking this spoken word, that's the least that I can give. Just returning the blessings that have been bestowed upon me, writing and reciting this poetry. Poetry releases me from all of my hurt, anger, even pain. It moves me a little closer to nonchalantness when others demand that I be vain. But thanks be to poetry for the sunshine that it brings when those others see rain. I must recite and remain. Poetry flows through my body and excites me when I'm down. It keeps me in great company when ain't no other souls around. It's the sole reason why my mind is not lost but found. Creating constants where nothing but inconsistencies and procrastination used to dwell, releasing me from my self-imposed jail. No bail, just hell. No, y'all, this is poetry, freeing me. Y'all ain't seen me. This right here is poetry.